Hi, today we are here with the District Attorney Steve here. So let's talk about the Asian hate and how to prevent this crime. And for our Asian, especially for senior, they're really scared. They're even scared to come out. So what's your suggestions to the family?
Well, there's a variety of things you can do. Number one, particularly with our elders, and I feel it because I'm an elder, don't go out by yourself. Go out in groups. The predators who engage in these crimes like to pick on people from behind who are by themselves. And the best way to do it is to travel with friends, your family, or a group. That will be a big step towards stopping it. Number two, the obvious. You have to stay alert. You have to be aware. You know how we very strongly tell everybody, when you go to an ATM machine, always keep your head on a swivel looking around. Well, the reality is for our community, we need to keep doing that all the time. Not fearful, not paranoid, but just simply keep our eyes and ears alert to see if somebody is behind us. Because what they're looking for is to catch people unawares. The attacks generally last seconds, no more. So that's why it's very important for our citizens to do that.
Thank you for the good suggestions. But what if when the crime happened to people, and what they should do and who they can ask for help?
Yeah, the first thing one should do is call 911. If they don't happen to have a phone, then find a citizen nearby and call 911. There is nothing that can happen to you where the police will say, you shouldn't have called us. They will always want you to call them. And so to that extent, that's what you do. The police will respond. The police will follow up. In San Mateo County, the police will work very hard to make sure the people who do this get arrested. They'll provide it to us, and then our goal is to make sure they get punished severely for these attacks, particularly on the elderly. Those are the most offensive, and we will treat them severely.
What's the number they can call?
If you want to, for the emergency, it's 911. For a follow-up on what happened with the case, you call the San Mateo County District Attorney's Office, which would be 650-363-4636.
Okay, thank you very much. I think sometimes people can't even identify the crime happened. Sometimes the verbal abuse or something. And how can people know that this is the hate crime?
Good question. A hate crime under California law requires, number one, that a person does a type of an assault or a battery touching. Words alone, just words, will not qualify. But if there's anything such as a case we had last year where an Asian American woman in Millbrae was walking her dog and the person came out and started screaming horrible things about Asian Americans. He then came up to her and he shoved her. That assault was a shove. She didn't fall down. That made it a crime. It was the touching under California law made it a crime. And so when you get those circumstances, don't wonder. If in doubt, call 911.
I have a friend, actually, he experienced a hate crime to his family in San Francisco, Chinatown, but it happened in 2020, and he was so sad, and right now he moved out of California. So for the crime which happened maybe 2 years ago, can they still report, and can they just receive any help?
They should always report. Even if it's 2 years ago, report, because even if the statute of limitations has run, it doesn't matter. It still goes into the records and will be there. Now, if it's a felony offense, the statute of limitations is 3 years. So anything within 3 years, we can prosecute on that line. But they should always report so that there's a record of it. Because if the person does it to one person, probably doing it to lots of people.
Yes.
And the more we get information, the better it is that we can put a strong case together.
Actually, they paid the medical costs themselves. So can they get any support financially?
Indeed, we can. If one is the victim of a hate crime, through my office, the District Attorney's Office, we have a Victim Services Center, and working with the state of California has a good victim services. We can pay for medical bills. We can pay for counseling. If somebody suddenly said, you know what, I just had to go see a therapist. I'm so upset over what happened. As a victim of a crime, we can get reimbursement for that, so it doesn't have to come out of their pocket. That's why we have a state victims fund.
What if their English is not good? Do they have other languages for them to reach?
We have in the area of 35 languages available that we can speak to people with, so they shouldn't be worried about, will they understand me because I don't speak good English. That's a non-issue.
Okay. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you.